Welcome to the 2018 Greater St. Cloud Community Pillars Forum. I'm Matt Verlek, president of the Initiative Foundation serving Central Minnesota.
Good morning. I'm Susan Lorenz, Director of Community Programs with the Central Minnesota Community Foundation. Welcome. Before we get started, it's important that we thank and recognize our sponsors. They are Central Minnesota Community Foundation, Centracare Health Foundation, Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation, Initiative Foundation, Morgan Family Foundation, St. Cloud State University, Times Media, and the United Way of Central Minnesota. Then we also have some other recognitions to give. Today, we'd like to recognize Data Marketing for their work on the event, also to Blue Moon Design for a lot of design work, and also the blue cards at your table. Please feel free to take one of them today. And we also would like to thank the crew of DMR over there. They're providing our sound system today. In addition, we have a delicious breakfast today that's actually being served courtesy of Feeling Good and Cobrans. And the videos we'll be watching today are sponsored in part by Bremer Bank. Thank you all.
On your tables, you'll see there are descriptions of the individual community pillars. There are 9 pillars, and they support our broader vision, which states, the Greater St. Cloud region is a proud, vibrant community where talented people live, work, and prosper with purpose. You'll also find an evaluation form. We would ask that you please fill it out and simply leave it on the table when you leave today.
Of course, we want you to feel free to join in the conversation on social media today. We're live tweeting under the hashtag Pillars18, and parts of our presentation are being captured on Facebook Live. The entire event is being videotaped today and will be posted on our webpage after the event. And the webpage is listed once again on your little blue cards at your table.
So we're kicking off our Greater St. Cloud Pillars Forum this morning by highlighting the arts and entertainment pillar. We are so fortunate to have a wide range of arts and entertainment options in our region, and with us this morning are Ashley Gonzalez and Christopher Gearing from the Worth Center for the Performing Arts. Ashley is from Sauk Rapids and is a senior at the St. Cloud Christian School. You may have seen Ashley in a recent St. Cloud Times article or on WCCO TV. She literally just got off the plane last night from performing with a women's choir at Carnegie Hall in New York on Sunday. Christopher is the executive director of the Worth Center, and Ashley will tell us about the song she will be singing.
So first we're going to start off with Beauty and the Beast, which a lot of you may know since, it's Disney. So let's get it started.
Unexpected.
Before we do our last song, I just want to say thank you for having us come and perform here. I'm Ashley Gonzalez, and this is Chris Goring. And for this last song, I'll be singing Ki Vola Tsengarela, just to pick up the tempo a little bit.
Chi vola Tsengarela, graziosa, corta e bella, signori eccola qua, signori eccola qua. Le donne sul balcone sta venendo a indovinar, i giovani al cantone sta meglio a stuzzicar, a vecchi innamorati scaldar folle cervella, scaldar folle cervella, a vecchi innamorati. Chi vuol la Tsengarela, chi vuol la Tsengarela, signori eccola qua, signori eccola qua. Le donne sul balcone sta venendo a indovinar, i giovani al cantone sta meglio a stuzzicar, a vecchi innamorati, a vecchi innamorati, scaldar folle cervella. Chi vuol la Tsengarela, graziosa, corta e bella, signori eccola qua, signori eccola qua, graziosa, corta e bella, graziosa, corta e bella, signori eccola qua, graziosa, corta e bella, graziosa, corta e bella, signori eccola qua, signori, signori, signori eccola qua, signori, signori, signori eccola qua.
Thank you, thank you. Let's have another round of applause for them. It's pretty early in the morning to be singing, right? It's our pleasure to present two videos that explain the role community pillars play in the greater St. Cloud area and the role that each of us play as residents in the strengthening of these pillars. The first video we have today is actually going to be a brief history of the Greater St. Cloud Pillars Initiative. The second one is actually going to review each pillar's highlights from 2017. And we will be hearing more about the details of the public safety and the economy pillar a bit later. I just wanted to look at your table, and you can see that we've handed out, one of the handouts is actually all 9 pillars for your convenience today. Thank you. I think we're going to play the videos now.
The history of the Greater St. Cloud Community Pillars dates back to 2011, when a group of community members met to create a vision for our region's most important priorities. That vision identified essential assets critical to strengthening and adding vibrancy to our communities. Today, the vision has been refined, and the original priorities have developed into our 9 pillars: arts and entertainment, community engagement, economy, education, green, housing, infrastructure, public safety, and wellness. Each pillar carries equal importance in enriching and sustaining our community's vitality. Together, the pillars create a unified strength in our area. Through the actions of the businesses, organizations, and individual community members, the pillars grow stronger, building a solid foundation. Some key initiatives that have received support over the years are launch of AroundTheCloud.org, Jugad Leadership Program for People of Color, Development of Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation and its job portal. Partner for Student Success Initiative. Mississippi River Partners Development and Riverwalk Plans. Collaborations to reduce homelessness. St. Cloud Airport expansion efforts. Greater St. Cloud Public Safety Foundation. Expansion of the YMCA and City of St. Cloud Aquatic Center. Today, the Greater St. Cloud community rests solidly on these foundational pillars. Together, we can be an engaged community, inspired to take actions that improve the quality of life so all our citizens can live, work, and prosper with purpose. In 2017, our community pillars celebrated some exciting advancements. Arts and entertainment. Greats Helgeson Learning Theater opened. Patronage to the Paramount Center for the Arts was up 12% for stage and 59% for classes. St. Ben's and St. John's Fine Arts Programming provided 80 outreach activities over 2 seasons. Community engagement. The United Way of Central Minnesota and the Central Minnesota Community Foundation hosted bus tours visiting nonprofits that strengthen the pillars, which resulted in increased contributions and volunteerism. Economy. Collaboration between the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation, the Chamber of Commerce, and public partners helped our region grow in gross domestic product, jobs, and wages, exceeding state and national averages. Education. Apollo's Link Crew 9th grade transition program now includes more community-wide collaboration, leading to better career and post-secondary readiness and improved graduation rates. Green. Development of the Riverwalk project in downtown St. Cloud moved forward with plans to begin Phase 1 construction in 2019. Housing. Central Minnesota nonprofits, businesses, and city staff worked with the Minnesota Housing Partnership to build strategies that will move affordable housing projects forward in our region. Infrastructure. More than 100 community leaders gathered at a transportation summit and developed a priorities plan. The legislature passed the largest transportation funding bill in nearly a decade. It includes funding for local projects and a 2018 business plan for the St. Cloud Regional Airport. Public safety. The first Community Outpost house in the state of Minnesota opened in South St. Cloud. Wellness. Feeling Good Minnesota shared healthy tips on Care 11 and kicked off the Fun Bin and Health Heroes programs. The new St. Cloud YMCA and Community Aquatic Center opened. The progress we have made with each of these pillars proves that St. Cloud is better together.
I wish. Yeah, a round of applause for that person whose hand must be very tired after all that vigorous drawing. But what a great blizzard of positive information about the pillars. Hopefully you memorized it all, but if you did not, those videos will be on the website later on, which again is on your card, I believe. So check it out later. So before we introduce our speakers this morning, we wanted to revisit last year's discussion on poverty. Those who were here with us will remember that our friend John Rice from the United Way shared an excellent presentation featuring some sobering statistics about our community. He reported that even though the job market is strong, 14.5% of our neighbors are living below the poverty line. Causes can be linked to a mismatch between worker skills and employer needs, slow wage growth, lack of affordable housing, and especially for single parents, lack of affordable child care. Poverty affects Greater St. Cloud residents of all backgrounds and is especially acute among our elderly, youth, and single parents.
John listed 4 fundamental changes we can make to address poverty in our community. Build educational opportunities, build work opportunities, offer affordable child care for single parents, bridge racial and ethnic opportunities. We want to mention projects that are gaining momentum which could move the needle to lower poverty in our community. The YES Network is delivering food and enrichment services to neighborhoods that do not have easy access to summer programming. The Initiative Foundation is launching its Enterprise Academy to help new Americans in Greater St. Cloud with intensive small business training, lending, and one-on-one advising services. Based on a successful model pioneered by Minnesota's own Neighborhood Development Center, the Foundation's Enterprise Academy will help more of our neighbors to participate in the American dream of owning a small business in our community. And also the Central Minnesota Community Foundation secured a $500,000 grant from the state of Minnesota to support economic development and nonprofit capacity in our minority neighborhoods in the area. Thanks to Representative Jim Knobloch. Thank you.
In addition, the Downtown Rotary Club here in St. Cloud, which I'm a proud member of, by the way, recently formed the Pathways for Youth, which will open in March. Its mission is to help young people between the ages of 16 and 23 who are experiencing homelessness, offering one-stop services that can help them find employment and a path to independence. The United Way opened 2 neighborhood resource centers at Discovery and Lincoln schools. This program helps students concentrate on their studies by assisting their parents to find stable employment, quality housing, and other needed services. The program also helps build positive communication between parents and the school to create an alliance that helps students to succeed, and the Central Minnesota Community Foundation will be awarding grants from the state-funded Opportunity Fund. These grants will be used to support programs that help address racial inequities around the areas of education, housing, and economic opportunity.
Today we are going to hear about several other innovative initiatives that have been in place this past year and that are making a positive change in our community. We'll be focusing on changes within the public safety and economy pillars. The Community Outpost is helping to improve the South Side neighborhood, and you will hear about that. We'll also learn about several new job training and placement programs that are helping to match unemployed individuals with employers eager for good workers.
And at this time, we invite Brian Myers and Commander James Steve to the stage.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, have a seat, Jim. I don't want you to get worn out here. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this fresh morning. What do you think about Bold North? Right? This is Bold North. I think Minnesota proved itself this past weekend that we are a great culture and that we are a great place to live. We proved that to the world in spite of the temperatures. So really exciting to be here this morning and to get to tell you about public safety. So first of all, I want to share some thoughts on public safety. Whether it's a police officer, a sheriff's deputy, a firefighter, or an emergency medical technician, they are responsible for all of our public safety. Not just their family's safety, not just their friends' safety, not just their neighbor's safety, but everyone's safety. They don't get to choose who they serve. Whether we're black or white, Christian or Muslim, rich or poor, old or young, gay or straight, new immigrant or lifelong resident, evangelical or atheist. The great people in our public safety community take an oath to protect and serve all of us, regardless of who we are. As a community, don't we owe it to our professional law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians to not only care about our own safety, but the safety and well-being of all of our community as well? Shouldn't we be caring about all of our neighbors and not just caring for those people that are like us or who we like? Public safety is a basic human right that everyone in our community deserves. When it comes to public safety, there are 2 important things to consider. One are the realities of public safety, and the other is the perception of public safety. both impact people's feeling about their own safety. So I'm going to ask you a question this morning. Please raise your hand if you feel you are less safe in our community today than you did 25 years ago. So if you feel less safe today than you did 25 years ago, raise your hand. Now, I know some of you may feel that you don't want to raise your hand on that question, but I will tell you that the perceptions of safety are probably different than what we just saw with people when you did raise your hands. So the point is today, the media, every day, with a 24/7 news cycle, we are inundated by the press with violence that occurs across the nation, and when something does happen locally, it gets coverage in great detail, which is good, but over time, it does give us the perception that crime is all around us all the time. Or maybe it's just all the CSI shows that we watch in the evenings. That could be it as well. And also, social media, while it's a great way to communicate, can also amplify the incidents of violence happening in society and make us feel unsafe as well. So now what I'd like to do is to actually look at the facts to see what has happened in public safety in our region since 1991. These statistics are for the city of St. Cloud rather than the entirety of the three-county area, as that is how the FBI compiles its statistics. But the point is even though this is for the city of St. Cloud, it is indicative of what's going on in the greater St. Cloud area. And we start off with Part 1 offenses. Part 1 offenses are the violent crimes. This is rape, murder, the really bad things. That's what Part 1 offenses are. And as you can see, while there have been fluctuations over time, the number of offenses is flat over the period from 1991 to 2006. And preliminary stats for 2017 show another small decrease in Part 1 offenses. So has violent crime gone up over time? No. And it is because of the great community policing that's happening in our region, and then also the great efforts that have been going on with Big Brothers Big Sisters and the United Way and all of the other great work that's happening in our community to support our youth and to support people, whether it's dealing with poverty, whether it's dealing with community engagement. It's the great work our churches are doing, our mosques are doing. That's why we're seeing these kind of numbers in addition to the great work that the people in uniform are doing to serve our community. Next are Part 2 offenses. These are things like vandalism, forgery, prostitution, DWIs, disorderly conduct, those type of offenses. And as you can see, there have been increases and decreases over time, but overall, the increase has been 14% over the time period. So from 1991 to 2016, we have seen a 14% increase in these types of offenses. So you might be asking yourself, what are all of our police officers doing with their time? Are you asking that question? Are they just eating donuts? No. And here's our calls for service. So when you look at the city of St. Cloud, you can see that calls for service are up 87%. In fact, traffic stops account for 17,000 calls for service annually. Some of you may represent these statistics. So why? Well, there's a number of reasons. One is that our population has grown by 20%. And so here you can see the population growth of the region, or at least of the city of St. Cloud, and it's obviously had a significant increase of 20%. So why has there been this significant increase in calls for services? Well, probably the biggest issue are drugs. In 2017, in the state of Minnesota alone, there were more drug overdose deaths than car accidents and homicides combined. Now that is a crisis. There is no question that is a crisis that has to be dealt with. Additionally, we have way more behavioral health issues in our community. partially due to the fact that we've got a community-based mental health system versus an institutional-based health system. So people with mental health issues are out in our communities, and obviously those issues have to be addressed. And most of those calls take at least 2 officers to respond to. Another factor impacting public safety is that during the day, as a regional center, St. Cloud adds about 100,000 people who work, seek medical services, go to school, and shop in our community, which increases road usage and traffic issues. While there are more youth at risk in our community today than ever, including homeless youth and child abuse and neglect are at all-time highs. Think about that. Child abuse and child neglect are at all-time highs. These are big issues that need to be solved. And unfortunately, sex trafficking has become a larger problem in our community. As you've noticed over the last year, there's been some publicity on that. It's a growing problem and something that needs to be taken care of. So there's challenges and opportunities, obviously. So what can we do about it? Well, first off, over the next 5 to 10 years, we have a huge number of retirements coming in policing, firefighting, and emergency medical technicians, which means it is paramount that we work to recruit a diverse and representative workforce that represents the community at large. If you don't want to have the Ferguson phenomenon, you need to have a public safety workforce that reflects the diversity of the community. It's as simple as that. The other thing is, we need to support initiatives, these great initiatives in our community, like the Pathways for Youth initiative being started by the St. Cloud area Rotary Clubs to help our youth that are at risk. Additionally, the Boy Scouts of America Explorer posts that promote public safety careers. We need to get kids involved. One of the things that has happened over the last few years is parents more and more are discouraging their children from going into public safety careers. Think about it, with the retirements that we have and people like the guy sitting next to me going out of the public safety workforce in not too many years. He's older than he looks. You know, it's really important that we think about who's going to take those jobs. We need to promote public safety with our youth. Other things that we need to do: support the Violent Offender Task Force, which has 14 full-time investigators from 5 counties in our region that are focused on reducing violent crime in our region. Again, this is a collaborative effort of 5 area counties. The other thing is supporting the sex trafficking task force that has been formed by Stearns County Attorney Janelle Kendall, that includes Stearns County, the City of Waite Park, and the City of St. Cloud. Notice that the things I'm mentioning are collaborative efforts. The pillars are founded upon the principles of collaboration, collective impact, and that's what's happening on a governmental level. And I think when you see our elected officials, our county commissioners, our mayors, our city council people, you got to thank them for using a collaborative approach to solving some of these problems that we face. But bottom line, we need to take responsibility for public safety by looking out after our neighbors. We all need to drive better and be respectful of our traffic laws. Support our volunteer fire departments and encourage people to join them. Do something as simple as replace the batteries in your smoke detectors. Bottom line is, we need to engage the community to own public safety and be part of the solution to public safety and not part of the problem. We need to support our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, and our emergency medical technicians, and recognize them for the great work that they do every day, and to recognize the hometown heroes of our community that save lives and promote public safety. Lastly, we need to change the public perception of public safety and pay attention to the facts rather than the hype. In 2015, we started the Greater St. Cloud Public Safety Foundation to be the leading advocate of public safety in our 3-county region and to help build trust in our community. Please join us on our journey to making this community the safest and most welcoming place possible. Our people deserve nothing less. Public safety begins with us. Now I would like to introduce Commander James Steve from the St. Cloud Police Department, who will discuss the first signature project of the Greater St. Cloud Public Safety Foundation. Jim, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. One more round of applause for Brian for all the effort he's put in. Cop House Foundation, the great speech he gave this morning. I want to give Brian one more round of applause. We talk about, let's go back. We talk about the collaboration. I can't walk away because I do like walking away. We talk about the collaboration that we've really been doing, the engagement, working with the community, working about the residents. The number one signature project that really talks a lot about this is the Community Outpost. We've been in existence now about 1 full year. Our vision when we started out, our vision of the Cop House, will collaborate with the residents, community groups, businesses, St. Cloud State University in an effort to assess community needs, build and maintain relationships, improve access to needed health and wellness and other services. The team will work to reduce crime and increase safety in the Southside neighborhood through professional, proactive police enforcement. Our house is located at 600 13th Street South. The area that we're really studying, where the Cop House is within, it's called the CAPS area or the Cop House area, and that runs from the north side on Division all the way down to 13th Street over to the river. There's about 10,000 residents in that area with about 98% transient population, which I mean rental in that area, which presents a lot of concerns for us. But the reason we have the house there, because we are making a difference. With all the efforts from a lot of community people, we established and built. A lot of sweat equity put into it by a lot of people in this room. The St. Cloud Rotary Richard C. Wilson Community Outpost, and that's what it looks like if you haven't been down there. We have a lot of community partners already down in that house. We have 3 rental partners down there. We have Gold Cross Ambulance in the basement. We have Centricare Health in one of our rooms down there. And we have Stearns County Human Services down there, renting out space, providing services down there. To get the house going, we had many, many partners. St. Cloud Rotary as the signature partner, St. Cloud State University, District 742, U.S. Bank is not mentioned. I'm going to miss some people. The St. Cloud Metro Lions gave a lot. We have all our vendors all paid for. House is going great. People ask me, what are we doing down there? What all programs what are we doing? And these are just a short few of the programs that we're doing down there. Youth sports, St. Cloud State athletes are coming over there weekly and engaging with the students. We have after-school tutoring with St. Cloud State students over there tutoring District 742 students at the house. Brian talked about the Public Explorer program through the Boy Scouts. I'm not going to list them all. You guys can see there. One thing I do want to highlight is Lieutenant Ellering is actually teaching a class through St. Cloud State University. They're called Policing in a Diverse Society, and actually holds the class right in the house itself. And having the students not only think about what we're doing and how we're engaging the diverse communities, but also feeling it because they're right there in the neighborhood and they're hosting a class right there at the house. A great, great thing that we're doing there. How's it going? I get asked that probably daily. Besides that question, the other question I ask them, when's the next one coming? But how is it going? In our very first year, we knew from Racine that we had to have a proactive enforcement piece to this. Through our research, we were told by Racine that if we did not have proactive enforcement down there, you could have all the best programming that you could have in the world, and if they were selling dope across the street, your programming wasn't effective. So we did apply for a grant when we first started. The federal government gave a grant for 3 officers to really be a part of the house. The chief gave me another officer to be a part of the house, so we have 4 officers working in that house area, the Cop House area, 24/7 for the most part. In our very first year, because we're very proactive, we recovered and seized 3 pounds of methamphetamine, 23 pounds of marijuana. We seized 8 guns off of people, made 122 felony arrests. We seized and forfeited a little over $20,000 in cash, and we forfeited and seized 8 vehicles. Now, when we first built the house, we picked the location based off what the officers told us. Racine told us you can't be a block away from the worst house, you can't be a half a block, you need to be at ground zero. That house that we tore down and we built the new house at, we had 100 calls for service in the last 5 years too. Our officers all said, you change that house out, you can make a difference. And that's what we've done. Measuring success. How are we measuring success? We're working with St. Cloud State University, and we're going to study for a 5-year period at least to start 4 different things. We're going to measure the crime rates. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. We're going to measure the crime rates. We're also going to look at health consumption with Centricare in that area. It is a high health consumption area. We're going to look at market property value, and we're going to look at Dix District 742 data. I'm going to tell you, we've only been in existence 1 year. I really believe we're going to make a difference in all 4 categories, which is really telling the story. It is. It's just changing one house out in a neighborhood and making a difference. Going back a little bit to our team, I do want to introduce my team who will make it all happen. We talked about all we seized and all the proactivity and all the enforcement we did. There's more than just that enforcement piece. There is the positive engagement that they do. They've made thousands of positive engagements through that whole area. Like I tell them, I want you to wear the rubber off your shoes and not the rubber off your tires. I really want them to get out there and go door to door and meet these people, and they have within the last year. So I want to introduce the team that make it all possible. They're led by Lieutenant Lori Ellering. You want to please stand? Sergeant Luke Dingman, Officer Dan McClure, Officer Talisha Barlow, Officer Ryan Preby, and Officer Jake Lands. They do need a big round of applause. They are making a difference. Finally, I just wanted to we're going to recap with one final video of how things have been going and how the house is going. So I'm going to turn it over, and I do thank everybody for this opportunity to explain the great things that we are doing. Oh.
But that's all I got for you right now in our hard work and dedication. And we have tremendous plans for this community outpost. And stay tuned. We just barely scratched the surface of what this could be. You guys will always remember when you see my face and hear my name. This is the guy.
So as you can see, this is about people. This is about caring for each other. This is about engaging with youth. This is about being positive about who we are as a community. That's what makes a difference in public safety. And I can't thank those of you in the room that have supported this initiative, the Public Safety Foundation, enough. It's just been amazing. I've yet to ask anyone to help that hasn't done so. So if you're willing to do more, talk to me. Anyway, one thing also I want to, Sheriff Hecht, I saw you earlier, Troy Hecht, Sheriff of Benton County. Would you please stand up? You know, Sheriff Hecht took one for the team. You saw him in the dunk tank, so I would like to thank him. Thank you, Troy. Next, we're going to be moving on to our economic panel, and so I'd like to introduce Tammy Beery for the panel discussion. Tammy?
Thank you, Brian. I'm honored to facilitate a workforce panel today. But first, I'd like to briefly introduce myself. I'm Tammy Beery from Career Solutions, the Executive Director. At Career Solutions, our role is in workforce development. Some of you may know us as Stearns Benton Employment and Training Council. Last fall, we changed our name to better reflect the work that we do. Career Solutions is a partner in the St. Cloud Workforce Center. We are an employment and training agency that provides assistance in building skilled workforce, workers who can do the jobs of today and learn the jobs of tomorrow. Through career counseling, job training, and a strong business relationships, Career Solutions helps entry-level to experienced workers, youth to older adults, train and gain meaningful employment. Outside of our standard programs, which are to support dislocated workers, such as those at Electrolux, as they transition from a layoff into a new career, and educate disadvantaged youth in our community on employment and career opportunities, we also work with employers to find creative solutions to address the current worker shortages. With such a tight labor market, we strategize how to best reach different segments of the population and seek grants and funding to enhance the skills of today's job workers, to obtain and to find jobs that are in demand. Examples of our work include a project we did last summer with community elder Jama Alimed, Adult Basic Education, and Coleman Manufacturing to serve youth that were aging out of high school at the age of 21 and were unemployed. The program's highlights were to increase their literacy while leading towards a diploma, enhance their workforce readiness skills, obtain experience leading to employment, and to continue their education. This model has been replicated recently with AAM, formerly known as Grady Foundries, to recruit at least 12 workers for the Learn and Earn program to obtain employment paying above minimum wage while continuing their education. We also have a number of programs and initiatives with area high schools to help youth research and find new career pathways that fit them. The programs include Youth at Work, Youth Build, and Career One, our summer youth employment camp, which provides opportunities to explore careers in high-demand career fields such as healthcare, the construction trades, and manufacturing. Partnerships and support from employers in our community are what make these programs successful. As you can imagine, I'm passionate about the work that we do, connecting employers and job seekers in our community. Today, you'll hear from a talented group of individuals who share that same passion. I will let each of the panelists introduce themselves, but before we do, I'm going to ask Luke Greinert, the labor market data analyst from DEED, to come up and share some highlights about the current workforce in central Minnesota. Luke?
Thanks, Tammy. Morning, everyone. If you've seen my presentations before, this will probably be your favorite. I've got 5 minutes, so I'll make this quick. I'm a labor market analyst with the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and I cover central and southwest Minnesota, about 27 counties, and I do regional analysis and outreach in that region. So whether it's publishing articles, doing research for municipalities or private companies, or doing presentations like this, my goal is to help any organization, whether it's nonprofit or private company, leverage the data that we have available to make better decisions and better strategies. So if any of you in the audience find yourself wondering, how can I make a bigger impact and leverage labor market information, whether it's to help place people in better jobs or retain folks in their current positions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I won't probably charge you, so there's some incentive there. But I do want to thank you for your time and for allowing me to talk to you today. So just to kind of put things into context, and any of you who maybe have tried hiring somebody in recent years, I should say, probably understand the difficulty in our labor market right now. So things are quite tight. We have some frictional unemployment, but this chart right here is basically I think probably the best visual representation of what we're dealing with in our area, and it's, to be honest, most of Minnesota here. And the orange bars on the bottom represent job vacancies, job openings, and the blue line represents unemployed workers. So these are people that are actively looking for work but not currently employed, and the black dots represent the ratio of unemployed workers for every job opening. So during the recession, you can see we hit almost 12 unemployed workers for every job opening, and today we're at just a little over 1. And you might be thinking to yourself, this is fantastic, and I would say most of you in here probably would view it that way. There's tremendous social advantages for our community to be operating in a labor market such as this, because we're able to place folks that were maybe missed during the previous years during the expansion and recovery. As our labor market continues to tighten, employers will have to look harder and dig deeper to find labor to fill their jobs. But this doesn't mean that just anybody can go and show up and work in an opening, right? Work in a job that becomes available. It takes specific skill sets, just like it did during the recession. Organizations like Tammy's Career Solution and the other organizations in town that help this, it's really important that we're taking the workers that we have available, what few there are, and skilling them to the correct jobs, the jobs that we have in our economy. And Electrolux is a prime example of this situation that's going to be playing out over the next couple years. We have the blessing of almost 1,000 workers available to fill the jobs in our community, but we cannot take it for granted, and it doesn't mean it's going to be easy to place them in positions, even though we have an abundance of openings. It's probably going to take some work, and it's probably going to take a lot of creative thinking in order to skill those folks for the employers that we have trying to fill their jobs. So kind of making the most of what we have is imperative. Within our labor market, it looks good overall, but broad trends can really kind of cover up some of the underlying issues that we have in our economy. And I just kind of pointed out some statistics here that I think are areas of opportunity. Because I'm perpetually optimistic, I don't look at them as a problem. I look at it as an opportunity to help these subgroups of our population. So youth is a prime example where we have almost 12.5% unemployment in our youth. An interesting fact about youth is the last 2 years they've actually started increasing the share of jobs that they hold, but that's really only because we have so many baby boomers retiring. If you look at raw numbers of jobs that our youth hold, it's been declining for 20 years. And they have better things to do. More of them are enrolling in college. So some of these are great. But it's also a missed opportunity to teach these folks about work and to hopefully integrate them into our community's economy. Black or African Americans, still almost 1 out of 5 are unemployed. That's an incredibly high rate. The good news is we're making progress. That dial, we're moving the dial there. I mean, in each year these data come out, it's decreasing. But I'm not here whether to say what's an acceptable gap. I'm just saying that there is a substantial gap there. Hispanic or Latino, still about 10% unemployment, and the disabled population, over 1 out of 10 there. And the disabled population actually represents the largest group of potential pent-up labor that is not being utilized. And even though their unemployment rate is roughly half of it is what it is for Black or African Americans, it's such a gigantic population that they cannot, and we cannot, afford to overlook that group. But the bright side is our wage offers are going up. And I saw one economist, Rich McDonald was here, professor, yes. I don't know, there might be some more, but we all know what happens and why wages go up. There's pressure, there's demand side pulling that wage up, and that is a good thing for all of the individuals that you work with, because that is showing demand for our labor and hopefully increasing the opportunities for folks that have maybe been passed over. Let's see, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but I'm probably pushing it. 2 minutes? All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Also wanted to apologize for speeding on the way here. Public safety is an incredibly important part of our community. I was running a bit late, and the more I think about, when I was listening to the presentation, in the past, and if anybody in here is from economic development, there used to be an adage, build it and they will come. Is anyone familiar with that? What we used to be talking about is jobs, companies. Build it and people will come. And now we're looking at things maybe a bit differently, or at least we should be looking through a different lens. When we say build it, more so in the future, at least in maybe the next decade, decade and a half, we're probably going to be talking about community access and community venues and any sort of amenities that are going to draw people. And what will come will be the businesses, not the people. And that might be a slightly different lens to view the economic situation in your community through, but I think that's going to be more and more important as economic development and community development merge and really become one in the coming future. So I also did just kind of want to point out where we have the largest amount of openings in our area. It's basically the accommodation and food services and retail trade. I have them highlighted there in the red. They represent roughly 1/4 of all our job openings. So this means that we have job openings that don't have a very high educational barrier, but also have relatively low wages. The great news is that those jobs represent the first step on the ladder of progression, and we have those opportunities in our area. We don't have very high educational barriers for our economy in Minnesota, really nationally even. So we're not dealing with really expensive, high-cost, high-labor training programs to get people to meet the demands of our economy. A lot of what we can do is through short-term job training and programs that place people in some of the first rungs of the ladder of their careers. And those low-cost training programs have high impact. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, and I'll hand it over now to Tammy.
Thank you, Luke. Lisa, you want to start the introductions?
Sure. Good morning. I'm Lisa Schwartz. I'm the news director at the St. Cloud Times. While most everything that we cover in some way applies to workforce and economic development, much like the pillars themselves, I'm here today to talk about an initiative that we've been working on for about 3 years called Spark. About 3 years ago, staff in our newsroom and our advertising department started hearing what most of you have heard, that we had workers and we had jobs, but often those were not matching up in terms of skills. We were looking at enlisting business partners and educational partners to put some effort behind publicizing the good jobs that are out there and helping our manufacturers get the workers that they need. What we ended up doing was putting together a monthly package of coverage highlighting certain jobs that are absolutely in demand in our area based on great stats from Luke's world. So we didn't just take a flyer. We wanted to make sure we were addressing jobs that existed in our market and that manufacturers were going to need in the years to come. And we took that news coverage to put that out there so that folks could understand what was going on, but our real effort and our real focus was on helping parents understand that the choices that they were helping their kids make as early as middle school were going to lead to those job and career decisions down the road that could make or break our job market here in central Minnesota. We are now in the second year of Spark. We took our focus from straight trades and manufacturing kind of work in year 1 to STEM-related careers in year 2. These are all focused on careers that do not require a 4-year degree. Apprenticeships, internships, or 2-year degrees are the jobs that we've been focusing on. We've taken students to manufacturing facilities and other workplaces so that they can help learn about this. We've done one-on-one work with educators, and we've produced a lot of work that we put out into school districts within a 30-mile radius. The response has been overwhelming. We've had inquiries from folks like the Center for the American Experiment who wanted to model a program after what we had done. And I'm happy to say that it's been such a great success and such a great partnership that we're now able to offer this year 5 scholarships to students that are pursuing those kinds of educational opportunities. Check it out at the Central Minnesota Community Foundation's website. There's my plug.
Hello, I'm Gayle Cruikshank, Talent Director for the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. My role is to help facilitate collaboration between businesses, education institutions, workforce development organizations, and the talent pool, or job seekers as you may refer to them, to address workforce-related needs. This includes both our current talent pool as well as through efforts of talent attraction to our region. Through our work, we strive to better prepare both employers and job seekers to meet each other's needs. With the tight market that we face here in St. Cloud region, it is critical that all available workforce is gainfully employed. So that means our employers need to be willing to consider different recruitment and retention strategies to ensure productive and successful work environments at their workplace. Job seekers also need to be prepared for the workforce today and understand the needs of our employers. To maximize the growth of our ever-changing region, all parties need to work together to ensure a vibrant and prosperous community.
Good morning. My name is Angelica, and I'm currently employed by Avivo, formerly known as Resource. I am one of 15 different career counselors who provide employment services to the families of St. Cloud area. Clients are referred to us by Stearns and Benton County when they become eligible for benefits. My coworkers and I provide assistance to our clients in many different areas, from resume building to connecting with additional resources in effort to assist them to overcome a variety of barriers that they currently have to be able to become employed so they can move forward and become self-sustaining.
Thank you for spending time with us today and sharing your expertise as panelists. To begin, we have a few prepared questions, but for you in the audience, if you do have questions, feel free to use the space on the evaluation form to write your questions down. We will gather this group of panelists back together and answer some of the questions and post the videos as well as answers to some of the questions on the Pillars website. So let's get started with a question for Lisa. As the candidate pool continues to tighten through the Times reporting and research, what is the biggest challenge to drawing students towards occupations that you've highlighted in the Spark initiative?
We have found that the biggest barrier to attracting students, talented students, to Spark careers tends to be their parents. For many, many, many decades, American families have set a bachelor's degree as the starting point for their children's success. And while that's a fantastic thing, I think there are probably a lot of them sitting in this room, you know, that's a great thing. What we're finding is that in recent years, we've seen a lot of kids coming out of four-year degree programs with tons of debt and not very many job opportunities. We are not seeing that happening so much on the side where students are taking advantage of a two-year opportunity and then coming out to successful careers that often pay more than what, you know, a baseline job opportunity with a four-year degree can pay. It's a hard sell, though, Parents really want their kids to meet those milestones, and I think the important part here is to think about the idea that some of these career opportunities have an image problem as much as anything else. We've been working to try to help change that.
It's a good point, Lisa. Jobs are no longer dark, dirty, and dangerous as people think about manufacturing. Gayle, now a question for you. What does the employer need to do in today's market to be successful in attracting talent?
There's several things that I feel employers can do, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of them here. And again, it's really a series of questions I pose to employers in the room and the community to ask yourself. Are you effectively marketing your business? Are you promoting your business through social media or other channels? And are you using your employees to promote your business? And also, do your employees want to promote their business, your business that you are part of? What does the community know and feel about your company and your company brand? Do you have a company brand? Do you have an effective recruitment process in place for today's market? Are you communicating effectively and clearly with your candidate pool as they're going through the candidate process? What does your application process look like? What criteria are you using to screen candidates in and out today compared to maybe what you were doing several years ago? Is it current with today's workforce? Do you have a succession plan in place to help your employees offering continued growth and development opportunities with your company? And are you working together with your fellow employers in the region, sharing candidates and ideas to be successful in your recruiting efforts? By sharing strong candidates that you can't place within your organization, you're giving another company in this region an opportunity for a stellar associate that will hopefully impact our region in growth. Thus, working together will only help all of us as an entire region to grow.
Great comments there, Gayle. Angelica, you work with clients and job seekers on a daily basis. As employers think about expanding their recruiting efforts, what are the barriers your clients are facing to getting back into the workforce?
Well, actually, Tammy, there's a lot of barriers that they come across. As an example, most recently, I worked with an individual named Jesse. He was a single father of 2 school-aged children that he moved out of Minneapolis. He moved out of Minneapolis to get a better place for him and his children to live in. What he ended up doing is he left behind everything, brought himself, his car, and his children, barely enough money to get here with gas. He immediately looks for shelter. Obviously, gets a shelter in one of the homeless shelters nearby here in St. Cloud. The next day, he applies for assistance, and then he's referred to us. Within 2 months' time of being here, he not only secured a permanent place to live, he secured employment, childcare. It took 4 different organizations besides ourselves to be able to assist him with this. It just goes to show that it takes the whole community to come together to be able to make our family successful. So they do have to overcome a lot of barriers, and us, as well as everybody else, being there for them helps them out a lot.
It takes a village, doesn't it? Lisa, you talked earlier about parents and students not knowing about the wonderful careers that are out there. How can this be reversed?
Well, I think it's going to take continued efforts by middle and high school educators and the community as a whole to help make those connections and expose kids and their teachers to what the real world of modern manufacturing and related careers looks like. These, as Gayle said, are not dirty, dark, and dangerous careers anymore. They haven't been for decades, but I'm not sure how much parents in particular are aware of that, and educators secondarily. An apprenticeship or a 2-year degree is not going to be the right answer for everyone. Clearly, we need highly educated people to drive our community forward, but the idea that a 2-year degree will no longer lead to success in the American dream is simply just not the case. We need to continue to make those connections and help each student find the right fit without bias. I think that's going to be the real key.
Great, thank you. Gayle, let's go back to another question for you. What efforts are happening in the community to help prepare our job seekers to most effectively match the needs of employers in our community?
Well, Tammy, as you know, there are many, but I am going to highlight just a few of them today. Through Partner for Student Success and others, we are working to help educate our students, our parents, our educational partners in our high schools about careers in demand. Skills assessments to help understand the students' strengths and their passions, and what careers are best suited to align those strengths and passions together. Immigrant Employment Connection Group has hosted events to help prepare our immigrant job seekers for job opportunities in our region. They've also held job fairs to work to connect them to employers here in our region looking to hire those talented folks. Our education institutions are working with employers to offer internships, apprenticeships, mentorships, and networking opportunities to engage our students with our employers. GSDC is currently leading a skilled worker initiative to help educate our students and communities about high career growth opportunities requiring less than a 4-year degree, similar to what Lisa's been focusing on with Spark. The Coleman project that Tammy mentioned before, it provided students at experiential learning opportunities along with classroom training to help prepare them for the workforce. These are just very few of many and more of these exciting things happening in our region right now and on the horizon, future things ready to start.
To sum that up, I think creativity is the word. Employers need to be creative in reaching that next group of workers.
And thinking things a little bit differently than what you've done in the past, yes.
Angelica, through your work with your clients, how do you think employers could better match with job seekers by meeting the applicant where they're at?
Well, there are a lot of individuals in our workforce right now that English is not their first language. So one of, as an example, I just recently met with a lovely young lady, Fanta. She has a wide range of experience, but she just can't get her foot in the door because she doesn't speak English. You know, she knows 6 different languages, and when I met with her, I found out that we had a common language in common. We ended up speaking Spanish together. So once the light bulb turned on, it was amazing to see how much her confidence grew, and we slowly were able to not only assist her with filling out that application, getting that interview, all because of that common bond. Now there's so many different other employers right now that they see that that's such an important thing that there is out there, that they've actually even incorporated ESO classes on site to be able to have that bond of being able to communicate, at least in an employment level, if not personal, honestly. So there's a lot of work to do yet.
So they start by learning the language of the job.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. Let's move on to opportunities again, Lisa. What are the greatest untapped opportunities in Central Minnesota's workforce?
Well, I think it's a twofold answer. First and foremost, I think that it's never going to be a bad thing for us to build a more diverse employer base, branching into technical fields that we don't already have represented in our community, and business sectors that we don't already have. But I think more to the point of this discussion, tapping into the talents and potential of folks that don't look like the job candidate we expected to hire is going to be an increasingly important thing. As Luke's stats bear out, we don't have a flood of candidates for every position like we may have had a few years ago. So we need to get our heads around the idea that the correct candidate for a current job opening may be an immigrant, maybe a refugee. It might be somebody with a disability. It may be somebody who doesn't fit the age range that you had in mind. Or frankly, it may be someone who doesn't fit the skill range that you had in mind. One of the things that we've found to be a very successful career path for most folks in our Spark Careers highlights is that there are many people who started on the factory floor with sometimes no secondary education, and through working with their employers for tuition reimbursement and on-the-job training and other sorts of things, some of them have ended up helping run their companies as CFOs. The answer is not going to be as binary as it has in the past. It's not going to be 2-year degree, 4-year degree, that's my career for life. It's going to be a progression, and employers need to get their heads around that.
Absolutely.
Gayle, what educational opportunities and resources are out there for job seekers and employers to become more successful in a tight labor market?
Again, there are many, but I'll just highlight a few of them today. GSDC is proud to lead the effort in creating a community portal, greaterstcloud.com, offering a one-stop shop for employers and job seekers, showcasing our community. This morning I took a peek, and there are 5,200 jobs right now in our region that are posted boldly on our site for our job seekers in the region. So we do have, yes, many opportunities for these folks, along with a lot of resources for both our employers and our job seekers, trying to help them better connect, as well as understand some of these different ways that you need to recruit going forward to attract that top talent and really the talent that we have right here in our region. There is also recruiting and coaching opportunities available within our education institutions as well as at the Workforce Center. Talent Summit 2018, which is coming in September, will offer employer workshops presented by local leaders in our community, highlighting topics such as building a talent pipeline, human resources, your strategic partner to your company's success, collaboration creates success, and are you that employer of choice? GSDC webinar series is also kicking off in 2018, where we'll provide lunchtime webinars highlighting recruitment topics again, such as job applicants, they're your #1 customer, and how do you retain those rock stars? Anderson Center, resource training and solutions, customized training programs through our education institutions, Veteran Employment Connection Group, Immigrant Employment Connection Group, and HR networking groups all are allowing opportunities to learn and share best practices in hiring and retaining talent.
So with that list, there's plenty of resources out there.
There are. There are opportunities to learn and share.
Yes. Angelica, as you mentioned, this isn't something one person or just one organization can do alone. What are some of the things when it comes to employment that the broader community could do to help?
Well, you know, there's so many different things to be able to do. You know, there's a wide range of individuals. We have individuals that need to learn the language, so obviously partnering with businesses to be able to bridge that barrier, that would be an excellent thing to do. Another thing that there's some of our clients that they come with high skills, but because of health demands, they have to change their way of thinking and things that they have to do for us to be able to sustain their families. Such as, for instance, there's a family, a two-parent family who, because of the health needs of the wife, they had to move and relocate. So because of that and additional stresses of medical conditions, they also reached out to our organization after being referred to us, and were able to, again, as it obviously takes the whole community to be able to make things successful for us. Within 2 months, they got permanent housing as well as a permanent position in the local school district, because this particular individual had been a school teacher for 18 years. So she had so many different skills to be able to share, but like I said, because of many different challenges in life, we need to think outside of the box to be able to assist these individuals, such as how Gayle and Lisa have all these other different resources that we have. We need to reach out and make those appropriate connections to be able to make all our families successful, one at a time, unfortunately.
Thank you. I would like to take a moment to thank all of our panelists. Let's give them a great round of applause. Do remember that if you have additional questions, write them down on the evaluation and we will get the answers posted on the Pillars website. Also, feel free to contact any of us directly after today's event. Being employed is not only helps the individual, it helps their family and the community. It allows companies to grow, increasing the impact on our local economy. Angelica's stories were real-life, powerful messages that support that. We've heard from our panelists that employers need to be creative with recruitment strategies to meet job seekers where they're at. Luke shared data with us, breaking down unemployment rates and demographics. His data pointed out that we have 1.1 job seekers per opening. That's assuming that they meet the job qualifications. This number is only going to continue to trend downward. How can employers, when only 1 or 2 people apply for a job, fill their openings? What are the chances that their job skills will match? Think about the one thing that you can do to help someone find a job or explore a career pathway. Imagine the impact that it would make. Remembering Angelica's story, it takes a village. As you heard from Gayle, there's a lot of resources out there. Share information with a job seeker you know to help increase their chances of success. Also, youth are the next generation of our workforce. Partner for Student Success is using the collective impact model to create connections between education and businesses within our community. Tour of Manufacturing events and Construct Tomorrow are 2 great examples that provide hands-on, real-life experiences for youth to research career potential pathways in construction and manufacturing. What opportunities can you or your employer offer to youth in our community to help them continue exploration? The Spark Initiative educates job seekers, youth, and their parents who have a great influence on their career decisions on today's job market. What influence do we as individuals have on changing expectations that every student go to college in order to have a successful career, when 70% of today's job vacancies only require a high school diploma? Instead of asking a high school senior what college they're going to go to next year, consider asking them what career field they're interested in. You might be surprised at the outcome. Thank you again for letting us share our work and our passion with you today. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Patty Gartland, President of the St. Cloud Greater Development Corporation.
Good morning. Tammy and I got the memo about wearing red today. So we're choosing to follow the reflection of a vibrant community by wearing our vibrant colors. I'm Patty Gartland. I'm the president of the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. I also co-lead the economy pillar with Teresa Bonin, who's the president of the St. Cloud Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a lifelong resident of this community. I was born and raised here. I'm a proud alum of Tech High School and St. Cloud State University. And my husband and I are fortunate to be have a steady flow of reminders every day on why it is that we chose to pursue our careers and raise our families here in the Greater St. Cloud region. I venture it's a safe assumption that all of us gathered here today, we know that this is a phenomenal community. We also acknowledge that we have challenges, but we choose to face them head on. That's why we're all here today. That's why we all choose to be part of the Community Pillars Initiative. We are the Greater St. Cloud community, and we're solidly committed to making this great community even greater. We also know from our speakers before me that attracting and retaining talent is a challenge facing every community in every state in the nation. Our economic and social viability are dependent on our ability to attract and retain talent to meet our workforce needs. And we've also been hearing about the paradigm shift that's at play, and that's fueled by the basic principles of supply and demand. Our labor supply is diminishing, our workforce needs are getting more and more difficult to meet. So I'm a boomer. You could probably tell by the gray hair. And the norm that existed when I started my career was to find a job and then move to wherever your employer determined they needed you to go. You followed your job. Today, now I'm a bit of an exception to that rule. I just shared with you I was born and raised here and have never left. But I'm not that norm. For those that know me, that's probably not a big surprise. Today, we know that the pendulum has shifted. Our talent resources are first determining where they want to live and then looking at what job opportunities are available. Luke made reference to this. Quality of life and community culture are preempting the job search efforts. So the burden becomes ours to set aside our humble ways and start shining the spotlight a lot more brightly on our community and attracting people into our region. We know why we're the best possible place to live, work, and engage, and it's time for everyone else to make that same discovery. And I'm delighted to share with you this morning an exciting new tool. It's been referenced a few times through the morning's presentations. This is a tool that's been developed by the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation to advance our community's brand and to promote our region to audiences far and wide by providing them an electronic gateway or portal to our community. It's my pleasure to introduce you to GreaterSt.Cloud.com. GreaterSt.Cloud.com is a website, it's an electronic gateway, it's a portal. It gets called many things, but what it's called really isn't what's important. What is important is that it showcases the abundant assets of our region and serves as a one-stop shop for anyone looking for information or to make connections or access resources about our region. I'm going to give you a quick little tour here, and I'm going to start in opposite order. Usually we read from left to right. I'm going to start over here with JobSpot. So you've got three choices when you go to GreaterSt.Cloud.com: jobs, business, and community. When you go to the jobs portal, it'll bring you to JobSpot. Gayle made reference to JobSpot, and it should take us there. She noted 5,200 jobs when she got up this morning. We're up to 5,968 jobs. So what this website does is every job that's posted on any electronic means, whether it's a job board, a website, a company website, it's scraped and it's hosted here in JobSpot. So job seekers can go to one location, find out all of those job opportunities that are available within our region, and be able to learn more about those opportunities. The center option, the business website, if you click on there, that's going to take you to the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. So if you're looking for help or assistance in helping locate your business into our region or expand and grow your business, you want to come visit the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. You can also connect in and learn about our various initiatives. But what I really want to help focus you on is our community portal. This is our new site for promoting and providing access and information about our region. When you go to the community website, it's going to bring you to a very attractive landing page. At the top, it provides you a variety of headings that provide, when you dive into them, provides information about communities, things to do, jobs and careers, quality of life, education, health and wellness, and business development. We also have links as you page down to each of those headings. There's some videos and photography that's shared, promoting. There's a geographic description and indicator of where are we within the United States, where are we within the state of Minnesota, who are our county partners, and who are our city partners within our region. We also feature blogs. There's a series of blogs. Well, look at that. Greater St. Cloud Pillars Forum is our first blog on here. Timely articles, the VEX robotics will be hosted in the blog sightings. We also have website partners who are being recognized, along with our city and county investors. These are the folks who help build this tool, help provide the resources necessary to bring it forward. As you page down, you're going to see that the site is brought to you by the Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation, who is a proud sponsor of the Community Pillars. And as has been mentioned a few times over the course of the morning, this new portal, Community Portal, is also now the website home for the Community Pillars Initiative. And I'm going to click on that and bring you there. There we are. What this is doing by providing the Community Pillars a home within this website is it's really enabling us to elevate the awareness of the important work that's occurring within the Community Pillars Initiative and giving it more of a 365-day presence rather than just the single event that happens annually that draws you all here as you are today. The important work, challenges, and opportunities of our 9 pillars are not frozen in time, and are not awaiting just that annual gathering. The work of the pillars forges on, and the conduit to help make that happen as a year-round activity is this presence on the Community Portal's website. During the economy and workforce panel session, you were invited to share additional questions that you might have for the workforce panel or for others who've been speakers here, the Public Safety Foundation. Those answers, they said, will be provided to you, and what you'll need to do and want to do is go to the Community Portal's site for the Community Pillars and look for your responses there. So this is going to be your go-to for ongoing information about the work of the pillars. As you can see as we page down here, we already have today's videos from today's event posted on the website. So if you want to be able to go back and reflect on or revisit, extract some data that was shared via these videos, this is where you want to go to. This is your community, and GreaterSt. is your new tool for sharing all that is great and good about our community. Please help us spread the word of this new community portal and grow its impact. This region is a welcoming place for all who choose to make this their home, and the GreaterSt. portal is a tool for making that fact known far and wide. We need your help putting it to use. We need your help spreading the word. Please access this website. You do have a business card. It's been referenced several times at your table. It has the website address. Please do use the portal, share the portal, put it on your website, use it in your communications. We really need to be able to take this tool and put it into action. With that, I thank you so very much. It's now my pleasure to welcome Ayan Ahmoud Omar to the podium.
Thank you. I ask that you bear with me because I was taking notes and this is what my speech looks like. So I'll introduce myself. I'm the summarizer. My name is Ayan Omar, and I am a Somali American refugee who has lived in the United States since November 1993. While I was born in Somalia, I spent K through 12 in Atlanta, Georgia. I cannot honestly say I moved to St. Cloud in 2005 for its wonderful weather. However, I can sincerely say I moved here to pursue a degree in education at one of the top education schools in the US, St. Cloud State. After graduating, I decided to stay, again, not for the weather, but rather for a guy and the opportunities to make a difference in a growing community. Married with a child and one on the way, pretty excited. St. Cloud has become home to me. A small village I have come to trust and am entrusted as an educator. I currently work at Tech High School as a language arts teacher working with 10, 11th, and 12th graders. As a young Somali, I grew up in a communal culture. My Somali culture promotes a shared responsibility amongst all members of the village. The Nigerian proverb, "It takes a whole village to raise a child," lives true in every community where honesty, faith, belief in mankind, and moving forward is its foundation. In general, this Nigerian proverb conveys the African worldview that emphasizes the values of family relationships, parental care, self-sacrificing concern for others, sharing, and even hospitality. And today, since 2011, the Greater St. Cloud Village has been growing stronger together in connection to every single person in this room, community leaders, companies, businesses, schools, etc. Behind every pillar is a village of mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, and grandparents who visualize a community suited for their child, their parents, and/or their grandchildren. And in their vision, they embrace all children, parents, and grandchildren. I'm going to recap a few valuable moments that I took away from today's gathering. First of all, the arts and entertainment pillar, Ashley and Christopher, my almost 5-year-old daughter would say, 1,000, a lot of thumbs up. It's been wisely stated, art is an irreplaceable way of understanding and expressing the world. There are some truths about life that can be expressed only as stories or songs or images. Art delights, instructs, consoles. It educates our emotions. And you two truly did that this morning. Thank you. Public safety. Today we learned that we are continually growing and continuously dedicated in securing safety through prevention, immediate response, intervention, and permanent solutions. We are stronger, we are safer and stronger through community engagement, partnership, and involvement through programs and projects that enrich the lives of our youth. After all, safety goes beyond policing. It's a stronger community investment. I learned that the members of our law enforcement sacrifice their safety for all members of our community. Their self-sacrificing concern for others is evidenced in their actions on the scene and behind the scene. With the increase in population, there is work to be done in our growing village. It will take more than law enforcement, more professionals, and youth leadership programs, in addition to, will be required, such as support and engagement, changes in miscommunication and misrepresentation of law enforcement are just a few ways to create great changes for all of us. Our game changers, as we saw earlier, go over and beyond their call of duty, building relationships and engaging community to change their own narratives. I thank you, my daughter thanks you, and my mother would say, Khair Allah kusiyo, God bless you, and Greater St. Cloud thanks you as well. Economy and workforce. The motto that here is we do better when we all do better. As we steer our own lives during a time of uncertainty and many challenges, I often ask, where are we today? Well, we're here. Here, we ask questions, we evaluate, we dialogue, we predict, and we act together. We become a movement. As we saw in the panel, we're continuing our discussion on poverty by including more projects, businesses, and clubs. We saw in the panel that career options include creating skilled workers, counseling through transition between work, promoting educational opportunities, engagement with local schools, and connecting job seekers with employers. We also learned that placing people in jobs will take some creativity and concern. Community development and economic development increases opportunities for all members. There's a great focus on skilled workers to promote more long-term employment. We focus on preparing both employers and job seekers to promote success rate for both. And also the focus was to promote self-reliance. The group helps with resume and more to eliminate barriers. Barriers such as eliminating the old perception on two-year college, English as an intelligence measurement, English as a language, and the misconception of looking the part. Again, thank you for your service for our youth and the adults. And in conclusion, I would like to thank the community pillar of Greater St. Cloud for allowing me to witness the great work and the collaboration of so many great villagers, striving for creativity, innovation, diversity, inclusiveness, and authenticity. I was practicing that word all day. And values I look forward to expanding to my students as well as my children. Thank you.
Ayan, that was authentically fantastic, so congratulations and thank you very much. Patty said in her remarks that we are Greater St. Cloud, and we are very blessed that you are part of Greater St. Cloud as well. So this concludes our program. Let me say on behalf of Susan and myself, we thank you all for coming. It's been a fantastic discussion. It has made me proud to be part of this community, knowing all the progress we've made, and of course, the challenges that we continue to address head on. We want to take one last moment again to thank all of our sponsors and speakers, and also I want to mention that this whole effort reflects a lot of hard work and collaboration behind the scenes. Collaboration is sometimes a euphemism for herding cats. The person who herded the cats was Diane Hageman right here in the front, and she's done a fantastic job as well. Thanks, everybody. So with that, we conclude. We ask you to please fill out the evaluation forms, leave them at your table. Have a great day, and keep up the great progress.
Take your card with you.